And in the Old Testament, this is focused on Israel, Israel as the people who are somehow bearing the promise of the Creator God. Creation and judgment are the two great poles of Jewish theology. God has made the world and God is going to sort it out. And we are his people who have to bear witness to that and somehow live in the middle of that. And so, at one of the climactic moments in one of the greatest pieces of prophetic writing, Isaiah 52, verses 6 and following, your God reigns. What does that mean? It doesn't just mean, oh, isn't it nice, God's in charge. It means Babylon is overthrown, the idols have been dealt a decisive blow, and you are going back to Jerusalem to re-establish the worship of the Creator God. Your God reigns. Your watchmen lift up their voices because eye to eye they see Yahweh returning to Zion. Yahweh is winning the victory. You are going to be rescued, and he is coming back to rule and reign. And then in the book of Daniel, again, a great book about the kingdom of God and the kingdoms of the world, where the little beleaguered representatives of God and God's kingdom, Daniel and his friends, get thrown into the fiery furnace or thrown into the den of lions because they refuse to bow down and worship the pagan idol and the pagan king. And the sovereignty of God is seen in God's rescue of them, and indeed his placing of them in positions themselves of authority. And the kingdom of God in the preaching of Jesus is always saying, all that stuff that you've been longing for is now happening. It's just it doesn't look like you thought it would. Because so many Jews in the first century, kingdom of God meant quite simply, we're going to come out on top and the Romans and everybody else out there are going to get smashed and put in their place. And we will re-establish a Jewish state which will be a holy place. And then it'll be clear to all the nations of the world that God is, the Creator God is our God, we are his people, and that'll be how it is. And Jesus had to say to them what Paul had to say to them. You are right to want the kingdom of God. But when God becomes king, are you so sure it'll be as easy as that? As Malachi said, the Lord whom you seek will suddenly come to his temple, but who may abide the day of his coming, and who shall stand when he appears? What will it look like? And particularly, if only they've been reading Daniel, if only they've been reading Isaiah 40 to 55, it is too light a thing that you should restore the tribes of Jacob. I will make you a light to the nations, that my glory may extend to the uttermost parts of the earth. Wait a minute, Israel. It isn't that the sun goes round the earth. The earth is going round the sun. And when the sun rises, as it seems from your perspective, it's rising on a lot of other people as well. And your vocation always was to be God's people for the world. Mission-shaped church. That's what I've been lecturing about in Fuller this last week. The mission of God's people to the whole world. The announcement of the sovereignty of the one true Creator saving God to the whole world is the thing that must shape the church. And so often the church has been shaped by the church. Who are we? What do we want to do? What's our private life like, as it were? And then only if we've got any little dribbles of energy do we go out and actually do some mission to grab other people and bring them back into this same cozy, holy huddle. Now, happily, I'm quite sure that life here in America is not like that, because your churches are so vast compared with what I'm used to, and they wouldn't be like that unless people were actually doing that work.